Hello. It's Facebook Live. I've got some questions here. As you now know, that every Tuesday at 7 o'clock-ish, I will be here to do questions and answers. So if you have any questions, then you can feel free to ask them live. I also have some questions that have been preordained, which I will go through. But feel free to chip in. Feel free to comment and share if you have any questions while we go through these questions that we've got right here on my thing that I did earlier. Question number one. This question came after the last one, because the last one I was talking about vaser liposuction, and someone said, I've got bulges or dents after my liposuction. So would vaser liposuction be a good thing to treat that? There's nothing. I've got quite a lot of inquiries about vaser liposuction after the last one, and I don't have no information and everything, and I don't do it. There's nothing. I was going to say there's nothing special. There's nothing sort of different about vaser liposuction in terms of the fact that you can't. There's not a lot that you can do more. Argue there's nothing you could do more with vaser that you can do with normal liposuction. So you can still do everything with normal liposuction that you can do with vaser liposuction. Hello, Shona, good to see you. So there's nothing so special about vaser in those terms. So asymmetries after liposuction is a problem. Bulges or dents is a problem after liposuction, and it is difficult to treat. If someone has a bulge or a dent after liposuction, I don't think, oh, they need vaser. So vaser is just a way of doing liposuction. It's not anything like, you know, there's different ways of, there's different machines you can do to do the liposuction. And so we tend to do power-assisted liposuction, but you can do vaser, you can do smart lipo, you can do other ones. Smart lipo is sort of laser assisted. You can just do suction assisted liposuction, where you just sort of use a sucker thing. Tulip system, that's how we used to do it. So there's lots of different ways of doing it, but all of them do the same thing, which is basically suck the fat out through a tube. And if you suck too much fat out in one area, you get a dent. And if you suck not enough fat out in one area, you get a bulge. So that is the complication of liposuction, bulges and dents. And they're difficult to treat. And the way you usually treat them are, a bulge you can treat by doing more liposuction. You've got to be really careful. I mean, well, it sounds a bit, you know, the best thing is to sort of try and prevent them. You know, prevention is better than cure. So when we're learning how to do long time no see, Denise, long time in real life, but not in the virtual way, because you're always on the comments and everything, which is nice, but long time virtually. I mean, physically seeing you. So yeah, so the complications of liposuction is bulges and dents. When we are doing liposuction, or when we're, you know, teaching people how to do liposuction, you have to feather it. So you have to do it in such a way that you don't keep on going in the same area, especially if you're using something like a power-assisted liposuction, because if you just, you know, leave the liposuction in and sort of start chatting to your friend, it'll give you a dent. So you've got to be careful that you keep it moving. You've got to use multiple stabs, 2 to 3 stab incisions to keep it moving, to keep it moving, to make sure that you don't keep on going in one place, because if you're going in one incision, then you're going to fan it out and you're going to take more from the base of the fan than the edges of the fan. So you do lots of fans, which means a few incisions. How? Hi, Gemma, nice to see you. That's a good profile picture you got there. So yeah, you try and prevent it if you can, but if you have got it, it's not helpful to those of you out there who've got it. So if you've got a problem, then more liposuction can help with a bulge, but you've got to be so careful because you don't want to take away too much. So you want to try and feather in the edges. And with a dent, you could try and do some fat grafting, actually injecting some fat back into the dent. And you know, it's difficult to treat those problems. first thing I'd say is if you have got a bulge or a dent, leave it for a few months, because you often get bulges and dents to start with. It's quite common to get bulges and dents when you first have excess swelling and all sorts going on, scarring. So you've got to leave it, I would say, 6 months, a year, really, for it to really properly settle. And a lot of contour irregularities will settle in that time. But if they don't, then there are things that can be done if there's a big dent or a big bulge. But it is difficult and it is tricky. And the problem is when you get into that sort of thing, there's a risk of doing it, getting it worse. So you start getting more of a dent or more of a bulge. Magic hands. Magic hands. Huh? Whoa, pen came from nowhere. Disappeared. There you go. So magic hands, Stiano here. Right. That was a good one. That was a good one. Drag that out. Looking a bit afro today. I used to look afro. This is about as afro as it gets these days. But I am looking a bit afro in myself. I'm noticing myself on camera. And thinking on it, thinking to get a haircut. But my wife did it way too short last time. I looked almost bald. So I've got to be a bit careful with her. I've got to rein her in a bit because she went for a buzz cut. Not sure what that is, but that was a bit of a balding thing that she did to me last time. So got to be careful. Right, we've got one here. We got one here. Shall I do this? Oh, I've got them in order. Anyway, I'm going to do this one. This is a patient who had a revision tummy. So she's already had a tummy tuck, I think 8 years ago, was it? Some time ago anyway. She's had a revision tummy tuck. She's had another tummy tuck in Slovakia. And it was all okay to start with. One of the problems, I think, she had lots of pregnancies and lost a lot of weight. Good job, you're better with. How dare you? How very dare you? Oh, rudeness. Rude. Right. Thanks, Denise. Thank you. It's kind. Right. So she had a revision tummy tuck. What do you mean? Good job. I didn't do this, by the way. This is a patient who's asking for an opinion about all this. So revision tummy tuck in Slovakia. And they repaired what we call the divarification of the recti muscles. You can call it some people call it a hernia, but basically what happens is your recti muscles, your six-pack, could demonstrate that, but I won't. Your six-pack muscles splay apart when you have children. When you put on weight, they become a part of your six-pack, your rectus, and you get a bulge between them. It's called divarification of your rectus muscles, recti muscles, and that is repaired as part of a tummy tuck, sort of like a standard part of a tummy tuck. And what's happened is now this patient has had this revision tummy tuck, and this bulge has come back. So it's a bulge above her belly button, has come back. I think the wound's all healed up, all fine, and she's contacted the surgeon repeatedly in Slovakia, who has stopped returning her calls. So first of all, I would say that I'm very sorry to hear that, and I think that's really bad. And I saw someone the other day who had a similar experience, not in Slovakia, somewhere else, but that is really bad. And I think that that surgeon has a duty of care to you to look after you, because this is a complication, and we can all get complications. We can all get complications, you know, and these things can happen. You can put things in, stitches in. One of the ways that you repair the divarification of the recti muscles is with permanent suture, and it's what we call you make it's usually a loop suture, so you don't make a knot at the top. You try and avoid doing minimum knots. But anyway, at the bottom of it, when you finish the repair, you do a knot. Now, if that knot comes undone for whatever reason, then the whole thing will unfurl. And that sounds to me what might have happened here. If it was okay to start off with, now she's got this bulge back again, that knot has given way, or something has happened that's given way. So there's two issues here. First of all, what to do, and then sort of who to do it, I suppose. She's contacted a surgeon in America who suggested a mesh repair, and is asking for my opinion. My opinion is it's difficult to give you an opinion without, I haven't seen any photos or anything like that, so I don't know exactly what the situation is. But for a standard divarification of the recti muscles for someone who's had children or had had a lot of been heavy. Usually there's enough tissue within the abdominal wall in order to close it with sutures and avoid using repair, in my view. I don't use mesh repair. I don't use mesh very often. Notice on American websites they often talk about mesh. They often talk about dermal scaffolds. They talk about it at the breast. They talk about it in tummy tucks and things. I don't use them much. I don't think we use them much in this country. There are potential complicated. Well, we do use them for other things. So, for instance, in reconstruction, you use them a lot. So we do use meshes, and for hernia repairs, you use meshes a lot. So there are areas where we use mesh, but in cosmetic surgery, I don't tend to use mesh really much. The reason being because there are complications when you start using mesh. Mesh is a prosthetic material. It's a foreign body, a bit like an implant's a foreign body. So you worry about. I worry about. So you worry about. Getting infection. If you get infection when you've got a prosthetic material in, whether that's a breast implant or a prosthetic mesh or a hip or a cataract or another prosthetic thing, you know, like a heart valve, anything, any prosthetic material that you've got inside your body, foreign body, if it gets infected, you have to remove it, basically. So, and that is really difficult with a mesh, because the whole point of that, the mesh, is the tissues grow in, the scar tissue grows into it, and it forms a really strong scar. That's how it fixes hernias, but it can be a real nightmare if it does get infected. So there are potential complications with a mesh. It's a good way to support the abdominal wall if it is very, very weak, and if you're putting stitches in and they're just pulling through. But it isn't without its complications. So the other thing is who to do it. Now, the answer is you should really, it's your surgeon in Slovakia. You need to really stick with the same surgeon. It's not great to be going between surgeons, certainly in the immediate post-operative period. If you're getting problems, you're getting complications in the first few months after surgery, it's very difficult for other surgeons to sort of pick that up. And we do sometimes see people who've sort of had surgery quite recently, and then they come and, or I had this conversation the other week with someone who had a breast reduction and had some wound healing problems. Really, the whole way, the structure of the way it works, certainly in this country and certainly here in this practice, is that we get paid to do the surgery. That's where the payment comes. We don't get paid for follow-up. We don't get paid for aftercare. That's part of the package, a massive part of the package. And often you say to people, we went to Slovakia or Dominican Republic or, I don't know, Cuba or somewhere else, and it's often a lot cheaper to have surgery there. And I understand that. And just, you can think of it like a holiday, and you get a nice hotel and all that sort of stuff. And I can totally understand. But you've got to realize there's a reason why it's cheaper. There's a reason why things are cheaper, and there's a reason why things are more expensive. And so that's why you've got to look into the training of the surgeon, the credentials of the surgeon. There's lots of very good surgeons in all those places. I'm not saying all the surgeons in Slovakia or Dominican Republic or Cuba are bad. There's fantastic surgeons everywhere. There's bad surgeons everywhere. So there's bad surgeons here and there's bad surgeons there. So you've got to do your research into your credentials of your surgeon, but you've got to do research into the aftercare. So really, ideally, you want to be asking these questions before you go. What if you come back to the UK and you have a problem? Because often they've got, the last person I saw had no one here really. Sometimes they have like a handler or something, some non-surgical person who they have to go through, and then they have to go relay the messages back to Slovakia, to the surgeon. And in this situation, that surgeon's now stopped answering the questions that the patient's giving. You need to see the surgeon. The surgeon knows what your rectus muscles were like, knows whether he can re-repair them. If he thinks, okay, well, that knot's gone, I was a bit worried about that knot anyway, and it's gone, and I can just do it again. Or, oh my goodness me, the surgery was a nightmare. It was really hard to repair those muscles. It kept on pulling through because this is the revision case anyway. This is the second operation you've had already. So they might be saying, it was really hard to do that, so therefore I'm thinking more about a mesh. So only your surgeon can talk about that. So your surgeon's the best place to talk about that. So that's my advice. Go back to the surgeon. They have got a duty of care. It is difficult. Another reason why it's difficult overseas is because it's hard to know where to come back to, or how to come back on. In this country, we've got BARPs, we've got BAPRAS, we've got the Professional Plastic Surgery Associations. So if we don't give you good service or behave in a way that is fitting, like for instance, not replying to your calls after you've had surgery with us, you can go to Barbs and Babras and say this isn't good practice, or the GMC even, and you've got to come back there. Whereas if the surgeon's in Slovakia, Barbs and Babras and GMC haven't really got much to go on to go back to that surgeon to say, look, you're not behaving how a surgeon should because they're not registered with the GMC. So it's just about the perils of going abroad, really, and I really think you need to go back to your surgeon, and hopefully they will listen to you. So, right, what we got? Sorry, we've got some comments. Good job, you're better with boobs. Yeah, we've had that one. Yeah, thanks, Denise. I think you mean that in a better boobs than the pen. I'm in the magic pen trick. Oh, better with boobs than the pen. Yeah, okay. Not me with boobs. I got it. Okay, thank you. I thought the pen trick was pretty good, but no, anyway. Helen said thank you. Yes, award best. Was it best breast and body place or something? But it was good. Yeah, always nice to get an award. Thank you for that, and very happy about that. That's always a big boost to have some recognition. So we do try hard. So sloshing after breast reduction. This is a patient of mine. Guilty, Your Honour, as charged. It is my patient, and I have returned the call, as as a good surgeon would. So this patient has recently had a breast reduction and is saying a lot of sloshing. To be honest with you, it's more common with breast implants, and I do make a thing of it at breast implants, and I have it on my post-op instruction sheet and all that sort of stuff. I'm not sure if I have a breast reduction, so maybe that's an oversight on my part that I didn't warn you before that this might happen. So I'm sorry I didn't warn you before, but yeah, this can happen. And basically what happens is when you do this sort of surgery, you have a space inside the breast, and what happens is you can get some fluid in that space and also some air in that space, and it's the air fluid interface that you can feel that water sloshing, a bit like a hot water bottle, sometimes, so you can feel it sloshing about. And sometimes you can hear it sort of gurgling, and you can hear some quite disconcerting noises. And it's totally nothing to worry about. It's normal. It doesn't last long. People say, hold on a minute, you never I didn't expect this, so this is going to last forever. It's not going to last forever. It lasts a week or two, it's in a matter of days in terms of maybe a week or two, but it's not, it's not a long thing, a long time it lasts, and it's just a little bit of fluid and a little bit of air causing a bit of noise and sloshing and funny feelings. So award was definitely well deserved. Well, what can I say, Shona? We do our best. Thank you. Very kind. Oh, Gemma, stop it. Best in the business. You deserve it. I'm always recommending. And it's very, very much appreciated. I have to say that my practice is pretty much all the recommendation. So I really do rely on recommendation. We do advertising or sort of marketing for mole, cysts, and things like that, but we don't do anything for breast and body contouring. It's all word of mouth. So thank you, Gemma. That is very much appreciated, and I do have a sort of ethos in the clinic that I'm trying to build, that it is actually the patients that we're trying to get happy for everything we can to get a happy patient, because that is, good practice, but it is also how you get a reputation and get trust within sort of the community. So I think it's so important. The aftercare is absolutely crucial, and we will max out on the aftercare because it is absolutely crucial. And unfortunately, a lot of people only realize that afterwards. A bit like insurance, really. You only know it's good when you need it, but it is something that we do work hard at to make sure we have the absolute best aftercare we can possibly give. So I've got a question coming in live from Gemma. Gemma 2. Can we call you Gemma 2? Gemma R. Would you advise, again, uplift? Hold on a minute. Let's do that again, shall we? Would you advise against uplift and tummy tuck done together? No, Gemma, I would not advise against that at all. That is something in Americans call a mummy makeover, with a mummy with an O. Terrible. Oof. Mommy makeover. But broadly speaking, it's known as a mummy makeover, and it's basically a tummy surgery and an abdominal surgery. Men can have it too. I don't know why it's called a mummy makeover, but well, I do know why it's called a mummy makeover. But anyway, men can have it too. But basically, a tummy surgery and a breast surgery is quite common. I was supposed to do one today. That's a bit of a sore point, but yeah, it is a common thing, and it is perfectly reasonable to do them together. Now, the thing about what I would say, if you were thinking of having them done together, I would say they're both big operations, so it's not to be taken lightly, because they are both big operations. An uplift is a big operation, and a tummy tuck is a big operation. And so it will knock you back. It's a long anesthetic if you have them both done together. It does knock you back, and it's something that you would have to consider whether it is right for you. So it can be done, and I certainly wouldn't advise against it. I wouldn't exactly advise for it. You know, I would just say to you, it can be done. It's very commonly done together. Lots of people have it done together, and the main reason people have it done together is because one recovery. You know, while probably the tummy will be the big thing, I guess. So while you're recovering from the tummy, then your breast is sort of healing. So it's one recovery time with regards to time off work and what have you. It's a lot of efficiencies in those terms. It is also a little bit cheaper, not massively cheaper, but it is a bit cheaper to have them both done at the same time because of the efficiencies with theatres, you know, one set and one, you know, operating session and things like that, one hospital stay. So there are efficiencies of doing it that way. And as I say, the main reason people do it is because you have one post-operative recovery. Now, it does sort of increase your risk of complications in terms of, it doesn't absolutely risk of complications is the same, but you've got your tummy to worry about, you know, wound healing problems, swelling, bruising, dog ears, bumps, you know, and you've got your breast to worry about, you know, scars, healing and all that sort of stuff. So you've got two areas to worry about. So it can be quite stressful. It can be quite a big deal to have it done at the same time, but it's perfectly normal to have it done at the same time, and it's very common to have it done at the same time. And a lot of people like having it done at the same time because of the sort of one recovery type scenario. So yeah, it's absolutely fine to do it all in one go, as long as you're ready for a big op. Prepare for a big op. You know, get yourself on your feet, get moving, positive diet, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, thank you. Thanks, Gemma R, for that. Gemma N's coming right back in with an 18 months old on and still in love with my boobs every day. Oh, that's good to hear, Gemma. Thank you very much. And that's kind, because it is difficult when people get further out. I like to see people always trying to get them back to the clinic, but, you know, it is hard. So it is nice to hear, because it's, you know. Well, good, Gemma. You can have both done. Absolutely, you can totally have both done. No problem at all. As long as, I say, you're aware of all the big thing, go for it. Have them both done. Go for it. Anna is in. Wouldn't be a Facebook Live without Anna coming in with a Buonasera, Dottore, ho visto I vostri capolavori, siete bravissimo, complimenti. I'm hoping that's not a question, Anna, because non-Pablo Italiano, I don't speak. My father, I mean, it's terrible. My father, obviously, well, not obviously, my father is Italian, but he never really spoke to us when we were little. We'd sort of say, Dad, what's this in Italian? And he'd say, oh, same as English. So he wasn't really engaged with the teaching us Italian type thing. And now we say, oh, Dad, you know, we should, taught us Italian. He says, oh, go to night school. So yeah, never really got up on the Italian. So I think that's good evening, doctor. I'm going with the first bit, but the rest, not sure. I think just saying hello. Are you saying hello, Anna? I'm going to say hello back to you, Anna, and hoping that's not a question. And if it is a question, terribly sorry if I ignored you. I think I can translate it later on. The Google will translate that for me. But yeah, good to have you participating, Anna. Thanks for that. Whoa, we got Helen coming in with another live question. Helen, good to have you here. Helen is saying, when would fat grafting be used with implants instead of just implants? Right, that's a really good question. So I guess I'm thinking there's three options. There's implants, there's fat grafting, and there's implants and fat grafting. So fat grafting can be used all on its own, but it's very subtle, small results. If you don't use an implant and just use fat grafting, it sounds great on paper. No foreign body, no complications, no long-term sequelae, sucking fat out of your tummy or your thighs or your buttocks or something like that. So, you know, taking fat from one, oh, fantastic, injecting into my boobs, it would be great. It's really subtle results, small volumes in my hands. So not quite there yet, I think, for a pure cosmetic augmentation. Obviously, implants will give you a predictable volume. So the question is, when will fat grafting be used with implants? So when would you combine fat grafting implants? Very rarely is my answer to that. I think I'd probably say never in my hands, but I'll tell you why people would do it. People would do it. In my hands, it would be implants, then fat grafting. And the reason for that is that if you haven't got sufficient cover over the top of the breast, if you're very slim, you haven't got enough cover over the breast, this is where submuscular placement of the implants comes in. You know, putting it under the muscle gives that extra layer of cover. But even with submuscular placement, you know, people talk about dual plane, and they say, oh, why not dual plane? Because that's sort of, you know, bit of both. It's not a bit of both. Dual plane, all submuscular implants are dual plane, because the muscle goes like that, your pec major muscle. So the implant here is always well, on top of the muscle, subglandular, if you like. You know, it's always on top of the muscle there. So if you get any wrinkling, so first thing, if you've got ripples, putting it under the muscle is an option. But if you're very slim, you haven't got much cover, particularly out here laterally where there isn't muscle cover, and you're worried about the soft tissue cover over the implant, you could combine implants with fat grafting to get an extra layer of cover if someone's very slim, to give some more cover over the implant. So that is one why someone would potentially do it. I don't really do it, so it's hard to say why, because I don't do it. It's hard to say why you would do it, but that's why someone might do it. The reason I don't do it, I do like fat grafting. Fat grafting is a great thing, but the reason I don't do it is because, well, twofold. First of all, when you do fat grafting, you can risk damaging the implant, but you could always do the fat graft before you put the implant in, so that'd be one benefit of doing it at the time of implantation. The other reason is it's quite expensive. Fat grafting is quite an expensive procedure. First of all, you need the liposuction equipment because you're sucking out the fat, and that's quite expensive. The equipment's quite expensive, and also it's quite time consuming. It does take a few hours to harvest the fat, process the fat, and inject it back in again, and you're a few hours in theatre, so that's going to have cost implications. So it's an expensive thing. So again, if you had it here, fat grafting and implants would be an expensive operation, and the benefit that you get from the fat grafting would be marginal. As I say, if you're very slim, I tend to put it under the muscle. Yes, that doesn't recover under here, but you know, hopefully rippling and what have you in the lateral aspect of the breast is rare. And if you do get it, then you could always have fat grafting at a later date. Okay, that's probably going to be more expensive than having it done in one go, but a lot of people won't need it. So in those situations, it might be less expensive. So yeah, that's why you might do it. If you wanted to get some extra cover over the implant at the time, then you could combine it with fat grafting, but that would be quite an expensive operation. And so it's not something I probably would do. Hi, Kate. Nice to see you. Good to see you here. I'm on my last one now. So all in fair warn, this is my last question. So if you've got any questions, get them in, because I'm going to be gone. I'm out of here in a minute. Unless you've got a question, I'm going to stay. If you've got a question, no problem. I'm going to put this up. You know, comment and share where you are, guys. I mean, we're going hell for leather on the comments, so I can't ask for more. Well, I can, but I can't say that you haven't done loads. So thank you. It's nice to know that someone's there, quite frankly. Yeah, I hope that's answered that one, Helen. I hope that was helpful. That was a bit ropey, but then maybe it was all right, was it? I'm guessing someone's told you. So if someone said I'll do that, so you better ask them their specific reasons, because it's not something I would commonly do. So we've got a question here, which is, can I have? We get this a lot. I thought I had it in my my guide for surgery, but anyway, a acrylic nails, hair extension. Oh, I don't want doing that. Nail extensions, hair extensions, and piercings, things like that. So people worry about this. The problem is, well, I suppose I better talk in general terms. I am better talking in general terms rather than specific. Well, I'm going to do specific first. Specifically, I'll tell you now, me and the anaesthetist are usually fine with them. I'll be straight up with you, we're fine with them. I know it's a big deal to do these gel things and you sort of bond them on and stuff. So it's a big deal and we are fine with them. The reason people have a go at you about it when you come in, this is talking about nails when you come in for surgery. The reason people will have a, I say people, it's usually the nurses when you come in, that's, got your nails on, is because sometimes when we want to know the blood supply of the, someone, you can sort of press on the nail and you can see the blood nail blanch and then come back and you can see if they've got good, what we call capillary refill, and you can see what their sort of oxygenation of their blood's like. But having said that, there are other ways you can do it. You can do it with the, the eye, looking the inside of the eye. Also, the little thing that measures the oxygen saturation goes on the finger, but you can put it on the ear. You can put it elsewhere. You can put it on toe, but you might have nail stuff on your toes as well. So, to be honest with you, for the sort of operations we do, certainly for the sort of smaller operations, sort of smaller in time in terms of breast augmentation and things, I would say it's fine. And so does the anaesthetist. Having said that, when you come in the hospital, the nurses will often say, oh, you got this, and it's a World War III, the world's going to end because you've got these nails on and they've got to take the nails off, and they're like, oh my God, they're gel, whatever. And I can't get them off, and I've got to be in surgery in an hour, and it's all a nightmare, and it's all terrible. So what I would say is probably the easiest answer, and especially if you're not coming, if you're having other surgeons and stuff like that, if you're just in general terms, is at least one nail should be visible, would be safer if you had one nail visible. Now, you might say, well, one nail visible means all the nails visible. I'm not going to take one of my nails off, in which case, yeah, you're probably better off taking your nails off for surgery. Sometimes it might just be easier telling you that rather than going into, oh, we're all right with it, but they're not all right with it. So yeah, you've got to take your nails off. Is that easier? You've got to take your nails off for surgery. Yeah, to be honest with you, it's usually the nurses and all that complain about it rather than us. So, but yeah, okay. Yes, got to take your nails off for surgery. Now, Helen has come in. Look at this. She's come in with another question. After a breast uplift with implants, can you change the implants for bigger ones further down the road or not due to uplift scars? Yes! I saw a patient the other day. It's a good question, this, Helen, because I saw a patient the other day and she said she'd been told she wanted these quite big implants, and she'd be told you can't have these, you need an uplift with implants. Anyway, I need an uplift with implants, but I can't put a really big implant in at the time. I'll do an uplift implant and I'll put a smaller implant in, and then in 6 months or a year later, you can have a bigger implant. It's the problem with plastic surgery. It's very subjective. Yeah, very subjective. I wouldn't do that. I would do the appropriate implant for your frame at the time. And, if a bigger implant 6 months or a year down the line was appropriate for your frame, I would do that at the time of the lift. I know I'm not answering your question, but I will answer your question in a minute. But, so that was just what that person said the other day. So I don't know if there is a sort of school of thought for plastic surgeons out there who do that, put a smaller implant when they do a lift with implant, and then they do a big one later. I understand why they're saying it. They're saying it because a lift with implants is a big deal. It's a big op. You lift tightens the breast, the implant tightens the breast, the complication rate is high. Those things are tightening the breast. The wound can break down. If the wound breaks down, you get infection, blah, blah, blah. So what I would say is if you're using a bigger implant at the time of the lift, just adjust your lift, do less of a lift if you're going to use a bigger implant, because a bigger implant is going to tighten. What you're trying to do is tighten the skin. There's two ways of tightening the skin. One is by filling it with something, which is the implant, filling it, and that tightens the skin. And two is by cutting the skin out to tighten it, and that's the lift. So they're sort of both doing the same thing. So if you're using a bigger implant, you would adjust your lift, is what I would say. So I wouldn't do what that other surgeon would do that I said a minute ago. But anyway, in answer specifically to your question, Helen, After breast implant, yes, I definitely can. A lot of people worry about this. Oh, the scars, it's like a tummy tuck. They say, what if I have a tummy tuck and I get pregnant? Oh, the scars are going to all fall apart. You know, what if I have a lift with implants and then I put a bigger implant in, the scars going to give way? No, the scars will be fine, Helen. They'll be absolutely fine. Yes, you can have a bigger implant. Well, as long as you can have a bigger, as long as your frame will take the bigger implant, the scars are no problem whatsoever. The skin is amazing. The skin, in fact, one of the problems with the skin, like if you've had a lift with implants, you will know that when you first have it, everything's tight as anything. You think, oh my Lord alive, this is so tight. And then 3-6 months down the line, it's no longer tight. And that's one of the problems. It sort of settles and things. And some people, like it to settle, some people don't, but whatever happens, it settles, the skin gives, and the skin has really good elasticity, which is one of the problems with life and why we need to do skin, excision, like do breast lifts and facelifts and tummy tucks to tighten the skin, because it has got such good elasticity. So that in your situation, that's good that the skin's got good elasticity. You could no problem at all put a bigger implant in. Those scars will be fine, Helen, or your skin will take up that elasticity, take up the slack, then you won't be putting tension on the scars. As long as we're talking, I'm assuming we're talking 6 months, 12 months after your surgery. I'm assuming we're not talking, in the first few weeks, because I think in the first few weeks it will be a living nightmare. If it starts 6 months, a year, then Helen, is that a joke? Answer clearly. Is that a joke? That's a joke. Anyway, thank you. I'll take it as a non-joke. I always feel like I'm all over the place, really. It's totally unscripted, this, totally off the top of my head, this stuff. You wouldn't have thought it, would you? Yeah, I'm assuming it's a long time after your surgery, Helen. So if it's a long time, like 6 to 12 months after your surgery, absolutely no problem with having bigger implants whatsoever, in my view. I don't know if this is a problem with this. I don't know if someone's told you something else. Did you ask? Yeah, you asked about the fat grafting and implants. Yeah. Well, anyway, I don't know if someone's told you something else, but that's in my view. I'm not saying it's right. It's just my view. So that's brilliant. Helen, 2 to you, 1 to you, Gemma R. And thanks a lot. That's some really good questions. And I'm really grateful to everyone for asking those questions. I am out of questions now. So I am going to put scrolling thing on. A bit late, really. I'm going to relax. I'm going to kick back. So, any questions? Anyone? Oh, it wasn't a joke. It was. My surgeon was useless at answering questions. There you go. There you go. See, that's the beauty. You see, I'm up against a whole load of surgeons who are useless at answering questions. So, kingdom of the blind, one-eyed man is king. Oh, that's good. Well, thank you. Good at answering questions, me. 12 months down the road. Yeah, 12 months down the road. Yeah, you could do a bigger implant, no problem. If that's what you wanted, that should be fine. Good. Thank you. That's kind. And I am going to go home. And I hope that's been helpful. I'm looking forward to next week very much, and I will answer any questions that may come to me live here at 7 o'clock. So if you have any questions, Facebook or email them or whatever, and or just ask them live. That's always good. Gemma's straight in there. So funny. Everybody needs to have. Oh, thank you. Well, Gemma, you know what? I'm gonna. I don't know. That's at the end of the thing. I don't know if anyone's around anymore, but I'm trying to reduce the surgery that I do, actually, Gemma, because I'm trying to build the business. I'm trying to build the brand, run the clinic. So I'm trying to get other people in, and I think there's room in this country for a brand in plastic surgery that's service-driven, quality-driven in terms of the surgeons, fully trained plastic surgeons, not enough fully trained plastic surgeons are doing plastic surgery. There's a lot of people doing plastic surgery who aren't fully trained plastic surgeons in this country. Anyway, got serious there, mustn't get. So yeah, but thanks, Gemma. That's kind. Didn't expect that. We've got another comment. Where was the other comment? We've got 2 comments from Gemma. There we go. Let's get that one up. Just if anyone's watching at this late stage. And we got, I believe that's a clap from Denise. Right, that's it. I've got to check out. I can't stand this adoration. I'm blushing. Right, thank you all. I'm very grateful for everyone for being here tonight. And I will check out and I will be here again at 7 o'clock next week. And I'd be very grateful if you would drop in. And thanks for dropping in tonight. Ending the broadcast right